Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book which has come to us from the Ark Group and Wilmington Legal. It's one of the books in a series they've produced recently, which is in the form effectively of a management report with an executive summary at the front. Always read the executive summary, it gives you a very good idea of what the book contains. This one that we're looking at this morning is New Directions in Legal Services. It's been brought together and edited by Laura Armentano, sorry, I must pronounce the name correctly. And Elizabeth and I have discussed the book, and we've given it for our book review title the following: a very useful guide for business concerning new directions in legal services. Now, before we look at I tell you what the review is, let's just have a look at the book itself. There it is. There's the spine, and then there is the back section. You can probably see a bit of that a little bit more clearly. It's a paperback. It's not, so it's 84 pages. No index at the back. There are some references you can see clearly on that last page. There is subheading, and what you've got at the front, you've got a front page there. And then after the front page you've got basic blurb about Ark. Then you've got the content section, executive summary, then about the authors, and each chapter has the name of the author who's put the work together. There are in fact 10 chapters in total, and then there's the executive summary there. Always read that, as I've said. Doesn't run too long. Useful bit of referencing as well, just to justify and back up things. Then there's detail about the authors running through from there. You can see a large number of authors are brought together for this. A lot of people involved in it. And then the chapters themselves. Chapter 1. Why the developments, the competence divide and not the digital divide will make or break the law firm's business model. Interesting point there. So you see, it's a big management tool, this, without any question. Very useful book and should be in your law library. What do we see then? Well, this. Those of you out there who think that the end of lawyers is nigh, be at least partly reassured by this recent publication from the Ark Group that the future for the legal profession is not necessarily steeped in gloom. We know who we're talking about, Mr. Susskind, don't we? Just to get that clear, because not everybody has that point of view. We recognise that there will be changes. These books are what will help you grapple with the big changes in the next 10 years. Now, this slender and certainly authoritative volume offers much to contemplate. The key message throughout is that law firms, like other businesses, must be receptive to change and to the devices and policies which will enable them to harness innovation for the benefit of the clients, of their clients. And the book itself has been edited, as I've indicated, by Laura Armentano. Now, Laura's brought together a number of experts, and what she's done is it's the considered advice of a dozen experts in the management of legal services, and something which common sense, yes, but there are a lot of pitfalls and a lot of experience that can be gleaned from the comments made by the experts. Several of them, of course, bemoan the stick-in-the-mud attitudes of traditional lawyers who stubbornly reject new methods in favour of quite often outmoded and unworkable traditions. I'm afraid that is a problem, and it's not going to go away, something we've got to address. And as you might expect, the contributors to this book all advocate, yes, that's the right word, a sea change in the legal mindset in which eagerness to accept new ideas and new ways of working becomes more prevalent. Now, that is difficult to say. I have to say, certainly in the legal profession in England and Wales, solicitors and barristers generally do tend to be traditionalists and conservative with a small c. They don't like that much change, although obviously as a member of council myself, I recognise massive change is on the way. Lots of jobs are going to go, there's no question about it, because there's going to be restructuring with the digital fourth industrial revolution. So we'll see where we go, but these books I think are extremely helpful for anybody running a larger firm or set of chambers who will need some advice. Let's take some examples of the sage advice given. It emerges in the 4th chapter on the missing E in legal innovation, E for empathy, that is. Succinctly, yet in some detail, it explores how empathy linked to a willingness to experiment and a tolerance for failure are central to, for instance, Silicon Valley's principles of design thinking. And in the author's view, these do not yet figure prominently in the typical lawyer's toolkit. Again, I think there will be change, and if we don't do it ourselves, it'll actually be foisted on us. Putting it bluntly, that's what will happen. Now, reference is made here to the Apple model, which features long continuity and in-depth customer research and is therefore put forward as a sort of paradigm for running a business, whether it's the business of law or the business of information technology. Now, many lawyers who may think this is an oversimplification, not directly relevant to the running of a law firm, should consider their views very carefully, and I certainly believe that's an important factor to bear in mind. And of course, the object lesson here is that competence, specialist expertise and customer friendliness, in other words, finding out what the customer or client really wants, are collectively the key ingredients in business success, in that they emanate from an internal culture of receptivity to new ideas, a loyal employee base and an agile responsiveness to innovation. Now, that's not to say that we're all going to go out and innovate tomorrow, but there has to be a balance, and I think that's really what the book is trying to get at, and hopefully it will be read by the more senior members of the firms. Now, one might add here that no matter what opinions are expressed on these matters, the well-qualified lawyer who's undertaken years of study, enriched by experience, will still have the edge, based on the principle quoted in this book that knowledge is power. Absolutely right. This is the often painfully acquired special power that generally the clients don't possess, no matter how much information they look up on Google. And that's really why you will use counsel certainly in contentious litigation matters in court, because there is a certain additional gloss that you have to have, apart from all the knowledge of practice rules and everything else. But there has to be that extra something which you're not going to pick up by years and years looking on Google. Let me conclude. Nevertheless, if you're looking for new directions in legal services, there is every possibility that this book can help you choose the right routes to future success rather than the wrong ones. And the publication date is cited at 2017. Let's have a quick look at the book again. There it is, paperback, as I say. The spine, there's not very much on the spine. There's a bit of information on the back which just gives you some idea of what the book contains. Opening it in the middle, this title is What is the Next Big Thing for Legal Services, Chapter 3. 4 aspects of legal services. So it's looking at the way we do things at the moment and what's going to happen. They mention lots of words. The magic circle is mentioned, various other things. Artificial intelligence obviously is mentioned, time equals money and so forth. All the usual phrases and words are there that you would expect. But what I do feel with this particular book and the series that Ark have just produced is they are extremely valuable management tools for a large firm. And as I've indicated before, not just with this review but with many reviews, we are entering a brand new era and we've got to be prepared for it. These books will help you prepare. Thank you very much to everybody concerned. It's a very useful book. Bye-bye.